Okay, so just finished sanding and vacuuming the floors after kind of filling the cracks with the flexible wood filler. That was kind of an undertaking, honestly. Got a belt sander today. It worked okay. It was from Harbor Freight. I wouldn't give it an A+, but anyways, this is what it looks like. I'm about to throw on the first coat of paint. I got porch and deck paint, I think, and it's going to be in the elemental gray color. So I'm going to throw on one coat tonight, let it set and dry, and then I'll try to throw on another coat tomorrow night. Throw on some paint chip flakes, let that dry for at least a day or two, and then I will go over it with a few coats of polyurethane clear top coat. So this is what it looks like before I do anything, and I'll update you next. Okay, so I got the rest of the shed primed on the first coat. That's still drying, let that dry overnight. Made it to almost halfway on the second coat with the paint chip. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm just putting this down on some Valspar paint. It's not any epoxy or rock solid or anything like that. It's the Rust-oleum paint chips. They're just black, white, and gray, and they've got some little flakes of metal in there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see some of them reflecting over there. Ooh, here we go. So anyways, I think a lot of the paint chips will probably come up after the paint has dried. I think a lot of them are just sitting on top of one another and not actually getting into the paint, but I tried to paint a fairly heavy coat so that there is something for them to stick into. So we'll see how this turns out, but I am pleased so far. I'm putting on the chips heavier than I expected to, but I like how it's looking, so I'm going to need to buy some more paint chips, which is not that big a deal. All right, we finished up this evening. Finished the last little piece right over there. Whew, it's hot. So put down the second coat of Valspar paint. Put down the paint chips, pretty heavy. I think she looks pretty good. We'll let her cure over the weekend. Let the paint dry for about 3 or 4 days. Make sure it's nice and dry. It's supposed to be pretty humid and hot, so it may take a little while to dry because it's so humid, but then I'll put about 3 coats of polyurethane on it and we'll call it done. But anyways, put it down pretty heavy, as consistently as I could. Okay, so this is where we're at. Got a Saturday morning, got the the paint chips, the extra paint chips blown off. I'm putting down this polyurethane. It's a gloss polyurethane, and hopefully this 2.5 gallon bucket will get me 2 coats here. I'm just getting the first coat on here, obviously, so it's going pretty good. Paint chips are staying down. I hope this works. Have no idea if it will or not, but this is an experiment, so we'll see what the rest of the floor looks like when I'm done. But here we go. All right, so we're about 75% of the way through with the first coat of polyurethane. This is the gloss polyurethane. It's looking pretty good. One thing I would add, as you might expect, you can tell where I haven't treated here, it's a lighter gray, and then it's kind of more of an amber gray when you put the polyurethane down, which is expected. I actually kind of like the look of it better when it darkened it up. I don't mind that at all. That turned out to be a pretty good look. I guess we'll see what it looks like when it dries, but I think it's going to be pretty decent once I get the second coat on there. It's going down pretty good. Using more than I thought I would, but yep, this is the setup. It tells you to put it on with like a flat foam applicator, but this is what I had, so it's going on just fine. I'm just trying not to put it on too heavy, and I back roll it multiple times to make sure I'm not leaving any residue down as best I can. So it's going down pretty good. I just kind of wanted to show the difference in the color where it's treated and not, and yep, that's where we're at. We finished up the first coat of polyurethane on the floor. Gonna let her dry for 3 or 4 hours. Try to apply the second coat. Probably need to go to Lowe's and get some more, because I do believe I'm gonna run out. A little shy. I had 2.5 gallons to start. Said it should do 1,500 square feet. This is like 750 square feet, thereabouts. And so I thought I'd have enough to do 2 coats, but I definitely used more than I thought I would. So I'm gonna go get another gallon. This is gloss polyurethane. I think it's looking pretty good so far. Round number 2 in the books. So the polyurethane ended up being an oil-based polyurethane, which I was planning on using water-based, and just didn't pay attention. It said super fast drying, so in my mind I thought that meant water-based. Read the label and it was oil-based, so hopefully it'll be okay. I think oil-based should be fine for what I'm doing. I will say not 100% happy in a couple of places. You can perceive it like right in here. I did a I thought I was being super careful. I like triple brushed it with the roller to make sure it wasn't pooling anywhere, but where it did pool just a little bit, it has this like little tinged amber color. You can't tell it right now very well, but there are some valleys throughout the floor that just held a little millimeter of more stain, and therefore polyurethane, and so therefore it stained it a little bit of a ambery color, which is not the worst thing in the world, but I think it turned out pretty good. I think it'll hold the paint chips down well and be an easy surface to sweep off and stuff like that. The paint chips have a little bit of a grit to them. You can kind of see the texture. So I think that'll be okay. I was worried about it being super slick. I think it'll be all right. Anyways, that's it. All right, guys, we don't know if this is going to work long term, but it was a fun project to do. I think it looks pretty cool. So if you learned anything, give me a like. If you have any questions, hit me in the comments section. Subscribe if you want, and we'll see you the next time.